Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiryat. Nastvayasya Bhadrasya Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavatu Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhakti Naistike. This morning we will discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text 6. Naham Veda Param Yasmin Na Param Na Samam Vibho Nama Rupa Guner Bhavyam Satasat Kinshit Anyataha. Word for translation. Na, do not, aham, myself, Veda, no, param, superior, he, for, asmin, in this world, na, neither, aparam, inferior, na, nor, saman, equal, vibho, or great one, nama, name, rupa, characteristic, gunai, by qualification, bhavyam, all that is created, sat, eternal, asat, temporary, kinshit, or anything like that, anyataha, from any other source. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Whatever we can understand by the nomenclature, characteristics and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior, or equal, eternal, or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your Lordship, thou so great. Purport. The manifested world is full of varieties of created beings in 8,400,000 species of life, and some of them are superior and inferior to others. In human society, the human being is considered to be superior living being, and amongst the human beings there are also different varieties, good, bad, equal, etc. But Nārada Muni took for granted that none of them has any source of generation besides his father, Brahmāji. Therefore, he wanted to know all about them from Lord Brahma. Read the verse again. Naham Veda Param Yasmin Na Param Sa Samam Vibho Nama Rupa Koner Bhavyam Satasat Kinshit Anyataha. Whatever we can understand by the nomenclature, characteristics, and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior, or equal, eternal, or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your Lordship, thou so great. Chaksavan Meritam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah. Chitchetayam Anopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. Svamrupakadhamyam dadati svapadantikam. Vandeham Shiyuda Padkamlam Shigurum Vaishnavam Sa Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sabbetam Savdutam Parjana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devan Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakanalita Shivishakam Vitam Shahe Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavano Jatpate Kopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishamana Sutta Devi Panamama Haripriya Pakha Kalpata Visha Kripasan Vivisha Patnam Bhavan Vyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasad Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarini. Srila Prabhupada Ki. So in Bhagavad Gita we learn Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajasayo Vidu Sakalni in Mata Yohanasta Parantapam. So Krishna says to Arjuna that this science, spiritual science, was received to the chain of disciplic succession. That and in our Guru Parampara, that the chain starts, of course, with Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna instructed Brahma. Tini Brahma Hridaya Adikave. He was instructed to the heart. The Chatur Sloka of the Bhagavatam, these 4 verses. These 4 verses is a summary of all Vedic knowledge. That then, so Nārada is the next in the disciplic succession, and he's inquiring from his spiritual master, his father, Nārada Muni, Lord Brahma. So Nārada is inquiring from Brahma. It is exceptional that a son accepts his father as a spiritual master. Usually that's not the case. We have seen in the case of like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his son was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur said to Bimal Prasad, you should take initiation from Gaurkishore Das Babaji. that although he was qualified, he was a bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession. He wanted Gaurkishore Das Babaji to initiate him because he considered him more advanced, although he was illiterate. So what is the qualification of a disciple is that he hears with attention from his spiritual master and follows the instructions. So Nārada saw everything in this universe, everything that exists here is created by my Father, all living entities, all plants, all birds, everything. So he can inform us about the creation. He's a first-class person to inform us about the creation. So he's the foremost, Brahma is the foremost demigod, besides Lord Krishna and others. That it's a prominent demigod. But we see that in many places, other demigods are worshipped, not Brahma. I've heard that there is, in the entirety of India, there is only one temple where Brahma is worshipped really. And that is in Pushkar, Rajasthan. And that, there are many things there, camel festivals, but they have also at the temple of Brahma with his 4 heads. That interesting. Otherwise, you don't find temples of Brahma. That I heard in Thailand there also they have a temple of Brahma. But it's rare. that usually people do not worship Brahma, but for us is very worshipable. Is the first spiritual master after Krishna in our disciplic succession. Therefore, naturally we worship Brahma. We do Guru Puja for Srila Prabhupada, we glorify Prabhupada, but all the entire Guru Parampara. So the point is here, authority. What's the right authority that Brahma created directly or indirectly this 800, 400,000 species of life. All life comes from him. He's the best person to explain the creation. Why is this explanation of the creation so important in the Bhagavatam? We find it in the second canto and then in the third canto that and Brahma explains the creation. Explains that in the beginning of creation, he prayed for empowerment, introspection, and protection against illusion. That and what Krishna said, that's all granted. Your prayers are fulfilled. As long as you engage in my devotional service without interruption, you will never be in illusion. Of course, we see Brahma was still in illusion. He wanted to test Krishna. That's one case. Then the incident with his daughter, Vak, a beautiful daughter. And for a moment he was attracted to her and had to fall down. So yes, this is to expect it in the material world, but nobody expected from Lord Brahma, because he's supposed to be the leader, the most perfect. That's maybe one of the reasons why he's not worshipped. It's not easy to be the top manager. You get so much criticism. Even the gopis that criticized Lord Brahma for creating eyelids that blink, because during that moment they could not see Krishna. But yes, this is important to inquire from the right source. He has full realization of the creation. But of course, nowadays is saying here, we don't know anything else than you as authority in this world, in this material world. So we accept you as authority. Of course, Brahma immediately will reply that no, I'm not the highest authority. That I'm only the servant from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is Brahma's position, that he chastises even Nārada to even think that he is a supreme authority. So he's inquiring from him that this creation is important, because why is Sutta Goswami or Sukadev Goswami repeating that twice, the creation? Because if we understand how the creation is one and different with the Supreme Lord. That the creation, the cause must be in the effect. That's logic. That so Krishna is present through his energies. That is present in his energies as a Supreme Soul, Paramatma. That is in everyone's heart. Because Krishna says that I'm the superintendent of material nature. Maya Jakshana Prakriti in Bhagavad Gita. He's a superintendent. He controls everything because he's situated in everywhere. That so that is important. That will, by that we will get rid of our separatist mentality, because we are not separated from Krishna. That's the reality. We cannot be separated from Krishna, but we see everything without Krishna. That Krishna says that in so many ways in Bhagavad Gita. Ishvara sarvabhutanam vridsayunatisya brahmyam samabhutnam yantrodani maya. I'm seated in everyone's heart and I'm conducting the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of material energy. That so he controls everything, even in our body. He gives us knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness. We don't control that. He controls factually everything. But we think ourselves the controllers because we don't see him controlling. But we can see how Krishna controls through the knowledge we received from the disciplic succession. And therefore it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Apsatas pabhyo sapabhyo papakritama sarvakana plaveneva frishinam santrishasi. Once you are seated on this boat of transcendental knowledge, you will come out of this illusion and cross the ocean of birth and death. And that's a fact. That also illusion, Brahma received this knowledge of illusion. What is illusion? From Krishna within the heart, who said to him, Ritam yat pratyeta na pratyeta satmani tat vidyatmano mayam yatavaso yatatama. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. So everything we see separate from Krishna has no reality. Because the reality is that there is nothing separate from Krishna. We see it separate, that's illusion. Krishna says, know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. So once you are on the boat of knowledge, you are out of this illusion. But to get this knowledge, we have to render devotional service. It cannot just be theoretical knowledge. We realize it's knowledge, we get insights in what this knowledge means. By rendering devotional service, Tesham Satayuknam Bhajam Predaprovakam. Dadami Bodhyogam Tam Yena Mamukayantite. Krishna gives us Dadami, this realization to the heart. That so these are essential points in devotional service. Yeah, in the second canto, we are dealing here with essential knowledge. Without this essential knowledge, we cannot become purified. That because that's we have heard in the previous chapters the load in the heart and the process of purification. That, but now we hear transcendental knowledge, learning how everything is related to the Supreme Lord. That so the temporary material Lord. That temporary material world is full of eternal living entities who are conditioned. It's a mixture of the eternal and the temporary. That, but Krishna says eternal is important. Eternal means coming in contact with our real self, our eternal self, and understand our position as an eternal self. We are here for a very small time in this body. And then another body, another body, another body. That every time we think we are the bodies, and we think we have duties, and we must do this and that, and we become bewildered by it, and it doesn't give satisfaction. That therefore we inquire from the spiritual master. And by the mercy of the spiritual master, we get realizations through this knowledge. That if we begin to come out of the conditioned state, if the purification starts, then when the purification starts, then we start to get realizations that we start to understand the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. These are the problems to be solved. That one wants to become detached. One wants to come free from entanglement in this material energy, especially to children, wife, home, rest. That one loses his interest in pleasures in this world and becomes equal to this happiness and distress. That unpleasant or pleasant. That one wants to live in a solitary place, means only in association of devotees. Then wants to go for self-realization, finding one's own self in one's heart. So this is the result of getting this transcendental knowledge. That, but of course, that the Lord Brahmā will immediately point out, yes, I'm not the source of this knowledge. I'm not a master. That there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I'm acting on his behalf. That my father is Garbhodakashai Krishna, the Supreme Lord. That because that is the beginning of knowledge. And Krishna says, Shanma karma samedvam yome vita tattva tyaktvam punarchaman naitamam etusarana. If you understand my appearance, my activities, that and so on, then you don't take the birth again. Why is that? If we understand who Krishna is, we understand our position and we start to act in that position. And when we are becoming absorbed in devotional service, we don't take birth again. And that is factual. That therefore that's the beginning of knowledge, was the source of everything. Understanding Krishna, understanding the absolute truth in three phases. Vedanta tattvavidas tattvam jnanam advayam pameti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sapyate. If one does not understand Bhagavan, one cannot understand Paramatma and Brahman. Those who misunderstand the absolute truth, the jnanis, they want to merge with Brahman because they think Brahman is supreme. And the yogis, they think Paramatma is the goal. They are all expansions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless we will understand Supreme Personality of Godhead, we cannot make advancement. Now, there comes the point. Why are we studying Srimad Bhagavatam? Because Srimad Bhagavatam directly points to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sukadev Goswami, well, Vyasadeva, he says, yes, you only have to study the Bhagavatam. It's the mature fruit of all mysticism. That it is, because Vyasadeva wrote so many things, but in his maturity, spiritual maturity, by the mercy of Nārada Muni, finally, he came to the writing of the Bhagavatam, which contains everything about Krishna from the Puranas in one place. And that's important. Vedasa Sarvam Eva Vedya. Get to know who Krishna is in the Vedas. That is important. So Nārada is asking so many questions. He's quite sober. He was already sober in his next life, in his previous life, when he was associating with the sages. He was 5 years old. He was sober. He was not like all the older children who wanted to play. Unless one has that sober attitude, which means being in goodness, that inquiry does not come up. One is like a ball and Maya plays with the ball, and we go with Maya to the most, but nobody's inquiring why is that? Why am I suffering? Like Sanatana Goswami asked the question to Lord Chaitanya, why am I suffering? Why am I submitted to these threefold miseries? And what controls this material energy? Scientists comes up with laws of nature, but who made these laws? Who maintains them? Are people asking that question? It's all by chance. It's illusion. Nothing is by chance in this world. And that's the reality. So unless, of course, in this material world, Kali Yuga, everyone is Payanalparusa Sabrikal Vasmin Shirechana Mandasamana Matya Mandabhakya Padrita. Always disturbed, lazy in self-realization, short-sighted. That's a condition. That Sudra Sambhava. Everyone is born Sudram. Nobody inquires about these things. But what's the solution? It's shown in this verse here. Nārada is approaching authority, and you inquire from authority. And you start to get answers on your questions. The first book I read was Krishna book. And by reading it, it answers so many of my questions. I started to understand God is in control. I'm not in control. So that's the beginning. That's the first step, the right step. We inquire from authorities and follow these authorities. And that so is asking, yes, 8,400,000 species, Prabhupada writes in the purport, that some of them are superior and inferior to others. That the human being is considered to be superior living entity. That but amongst human beings there are different varieties: good, bad, equal, etc. So the human being is considered to be superior. That just a moment. Yeah. So yes, that is a point Prabhupada stressed many times, that the human being is superior. But without knowledge of God, Prabhupada says, one is not really a human being. It's quite a very striking point. One is an animal when one has not God in his life, because the inquiry doesn't come up. That what is the power behind all these energies and these laws that we see? It's a factor, it's a power, a higher power. You cannot deny. A human life is meant for asking questions here. Who controls this our higher power? Why I seem to be controlled by destiny? And so on. And because if you don't understand his destiny, you cannot understand how God is good. All good. And that's the next step. First is understanding God is in control. But then, how is God all good? That Krishna says to surrender, but who is this God? Who is Krishna? That how is he all good? That has to be understood, otherwise we stay on a neophyte platform. Therefore we go to the second canto, the third canto, the fourth, the fifth, sixth. In the seventh canto, this is explained how God is all good. Yudhishthir is asking Nārada Muni, how is God all good? He seems to favor the demigods, and he doesn't favor the demons. He takes the side of the demons. He takes the side of the demigods, not of the demons. How is this? And there, the whole story of Nrsimhadev is explained. To show God is all good. Krishna is like a father. The father corrects the son if the son does something wrong. Because the young boy, if it's not educated, then he will be a nonsense later and he will suffer. He's doing for the good of the children. And Krishna is in the same way. He does not want us to be in this material world. We want it. But he wants us back. They will said, you want to enjoy, said enjoy, but there is also suffering as a reaction because I want you to come back. I want you to correct your inner attitude of trying to exploit, trying to be the controller. That you become the servant again and develop and show your love for me. Then you will be happy. But that's what we have to learn ultimately. That, but the first thing is that we have to learn is the creation, how is God in control. And then we learn we are not in control. And then later we learn about God is all good. And then we learn about our relationship with Krishna. That relationship begins with surrender in the 8th canto. And then we are ready to hear the 10th canto, the confidential pastimes of Lord Krishna. So, this, Nārada is inquiring from his father about all these confidential truths. Because he sees in this world, he's the highest authority we know, that he is in a better position than us. Brahmā was his direct father. But Krishna gives us the possibility to be in the same position, just because the same knowledge comes down into the disciplic succession. And that's how the mercy comes down. Mercy means you become detached from the material world and attached to Krishna through the process of hearing another, remembering and speaking about Krishna. That is mercy. That's renunciation. Attachment to Krishna is renunciation. As a sannyasi, many come to you and they ask for blessings. But what are they asking for? That the blessing is make progress in your spiritual life, become attached to Krishna and detached from matter. That, but many ask blessings and they want to get out of suffering and be happy in this world. But that's not a blessing of Prabhupada. The blessings is how to get out of this world. Real blessings that, especially in India, you have, because you have this karma kanda, upasana kanda, jnana kanda, and then yoga, the yogis, and then bhakti. That, but all the other systems of knowledge and practices are materialistic, one way or another. That, so yes, there was this great king, Kula Shekhar, or what was his name? He said, he prays to Krishna. So he says, yes, please forgive me my daily rituals, my daily prayers, my daily rituals. I've given you up. I am now only serving Krishna. And that, sometimes we go in these things. We have to do jhaya, so many things. But the focus is Krishna. That if the focus is Krishna, can be helpful. But if one does a jhaya for protection of our family or whatever, it's business. It's not pure devotional service. It's devotional service in the modes of nature. that then devotional service in the modes of nature is explained by Devauti and Kapila Dev to Devauti. He speaks about devotional service in the modes of nature, and it does not purify us really, a little, but not much. The purification comes if the intention is right. Then the purification comes. Purity of intention. So many things to learn here. Although it's all simple. Good. Any questions, comments? Okay. Mother Fenuya, yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you very, very much for the very, very deep class. I would like to ask, when we desire empowerment for specific service, also my case is I'm working on poetry books already for longer and would like to bring them out as soon as possible. And we pray according the example of Brahmā, to get empowerment, to get introspection, and to be protected before Maya. You said, Krishna says, we are protected when our devotional service is uninterrupted, but I think my devotional service is not uninterrupted. Also, how it is possible for us at all, also to practice uninterrupted devotional service.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the Bhagavatam after the Prachetas. The Prachetas, they pray to Lord Vishnu, God blessings. They did austerities for a long time, and the earth was overgrown by trees. And anyway, but then after that, there was no king anymore, and the successor was Priyavrata. Priyavrata was a brahmachari disciple of Nārada Muni. And Nārada Muni told him, no need to become a king, you remain brahmachari, peaceful. But then Brahma came down, the spiritual master of Nārada Muni, and he told Priyavrata, I'm sorry, you have to become the king. It's an urgent thing. You have to generate population and so on. You have to become a householder. And there, Priyavrata is asking a question to Brahma. Is that not dangerous for my spiritual life? He said, doing that. And there, Brahma repeated the instruction he received from Lord Krishna. He said, as long as you are absorbed in your devotional service, you will not be afflicted by illusion. So there is a point. As long as we are absorbed in devotional service, we have in our back of our mind, we do it for Krishna, at least. Then we are protected. That protected means not that things are going to happen like we want. Krishna may make things happen that as he wants to purify us. We see many times devotees, they become too sick to do external devotional service, and they try their best. So we have to accept these circumstances, as Krishna's mercy to correct us, and patiently wait that there are no wonder middle. But yes, if one understands this, one at least becomes peaceful. But yes. But praying for empowerment in your service is good. That's if it's to serve Krishna, if there is no personal motive. That's nice. That's our duty to do that. Before we start something, we pray to the spiritual master for empowerment. Does that help?
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Anything else? Good, then I wish you a nice day and see you on Wednesday for the next class. And after that, I'm in London 4 days. And the week after, we continue as usual. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Jai Guru Maharaj. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.